It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast show, and we are now turning the attention to road safety, which is a major issue in South Africa. And as such, raising awareness around safety is of vital importance, especially when it comes to children. Now, this week marks Child Protection Week, which aims to raise awareness about the rights of children when it comes to everything from road safety to healthcare to their mental health. And that's what we've been tackling throughout the week. Now, this morning we are joined by Road Safety Officer Giancarlo Organzi and Nokuzola Litzilebi, who is the Assistant Director of the Department of Transport and Public Works. They are joining us this morning as we unpack a very important topic that I'm going to get so fired up for. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
As you can hear, Zoe's already so fired up. She's like, why don't parents let their children sit in a car seat? Which is what we're going to get into.
Yes.
But just how important is it to create awareness around this, you know, just in general, creating safety around what is happening on the roads?
Globally, you know, we've got so many injuries. Road crashes in general are causing a major issue on our roads. And I always say to him as well, you know, people take it for granted. The moment you step out of your door, going to your car, or the moment you step out of your house, entering the street, you're already a road user. And we need to make you aware of what is happening out there, because we tend to take it for granted. We tend to take things easy. The road rages that are happening on our roads, you know, people come out of their houses with stress on their shoulders. The moment they get into a vehicle, they want everyone to move out of the road. And we don't know what you're going through. And you also don't understand that the behavior that you portray on the road is creating a problem for all of us, because now there comes the speeding. You understand what I mean? Because now sometimes you're late for work. You're not supposed to be at work at 7, but you get out of your house at 6:30. How are you going to make it in the Western Cape, in Cape Town specifically, if you drive out of your house like 30 minutes before you get to your destination? So we need to make people aware of the dangers of our behavior. You know, the danger of mere human behavior on our roads, things that we do to others, how they can affect all of us on the road.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, statistics also proves that it's mostly human behavior
Yes.
that are the biggest contributor to our crashes on our roads. So it's how people drive. It's your attitude on how you use your motor vehicle. And we are now speaking about motor vehicle usage, but, but like Nokuzola mentioned earlier, the moment you step out of your house, when you walk into the street, you're a road user, you're a pedestrian, and you're using the road. So there's the discussion is vast in terms of information on what you need to know as a pedestrian. Like, for example, we take it for granted the rule that we were taught when we were in primary school. You know, when you walk out onto the road, first you stop. And we do this, it's you know, it's a topic that we can decipher, but you stop and you make sure that you look right and you look left and you look right again, and then you listen. Because now you have to listen to see, are there other cars approaching out of side roads? Because you might see the road that is visible to you, but you know, if you look in Cape Town, we have so many side roads coming out, you know, and that is the reason why we urge people to make sure that road rule that you were taught in primary school to look left and right and left, please go back to basics. That's what we're really asking for.
And I mean, it's shocking the amount of people that walk on their phones and they cross the street, and it's only like almost when they're halfway through they realize, oh, I should have looked. And this is obviously the topic for a different conversation.
Yes.
But focusing on children and their safety on the roads, as a traffic reporter myself, I'm so aware of all the accidents that happen all across the country. Can you give us some of the statistics? Because so many kids are impacted, and I think so many kids' lives can be saved if they were strapped in and in a car seat, if they were meeting that requirement.
You know, when it comes to stats, what I'm going to say to you now is information that we've gathered from the Red Cross Hospital and from Child Safe South Africa. These are children that were admitted to the Red Cross Hospital for 2019. I would say 766. I'm speaking under correction, but that's how high it is. Like 766 children were admitted to hospital where there were traffic-related incidents. Either maybe a pedestrian, or they could have been a passenger in a vehicle. In 2020, we saw a slight decline, obviously because of the COVID-19 regulations where people were limited in movement. So we found that there was a bit of a drop or a decline to about, say, 680 around, plus
still a
minus.
big number.
And then when it comes to 2021, we had 620 children. So there was a slight decline. But for me, one child is already one too many. And that is why we are here today. I mean, if there's anything that you still wanted to add on that, Zola.
I mean, I'm listening to that statistic. We have 365 days in a year. That means on average, almost 2 kids end up in hospital or get admitted because of car-related, road-related injuries.
And it is like that because at the end of the day, you know, a child is a child. A child cannot take care of him or herself. It is the responsibility of the adult. As you were saying earlier, that parents drive for children, they are not restrained. Children sit on mommy's lap, you know. How comfortable can you be for a child to sit on your lap while you are driving or while you are a passenger? So we see those serious injuries that are happening to our children. And we find young children also working on their own. I know circumstances are different, but you find a 5, 6-year-old child working him or herself to school. So that's also where we come in as road safety.
Well, we want to continue this conversation and especially put the spotlight on car seats and the importance of that and seat belts. So please, if you do want to weigh in on this conversation, you know we've got that WhatsApp line open. That number is 063 408 8863. If you have any comments or questions, you are welcome to send it through via WhatsApp.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Thank you, Ryle. Well, you know what? We are super excited to continue this conversation. It is Child Protection Week, and we want to make sure they are safe, not only when it comes to their health, but when they are traveling from point A to B, whether they're going to school, and just to make sure that they are safe.
That being said, we are continuing our discussion with the Department of Transport and Public Works right here in the Western Cape. Now we have Giancarlo Ogansi as well as Nokuzola Lesilebe from the Department of Public Works, and they're continuing to give us some of the statistics around road safety and also some tips on how to ensure that our children are safe on the road, whether it is as a passenger in the car or as well as a pedestrian.
That's right. Now, I know that we touched on this earlier, but we want to now put the focus on car seats. It is so important that a child is strapped in and safe and secure because that's what's going to save them when there is a car accident. How important are car seats, and are our families, our parents, doing the right thing by putting their kids in the car seats? That's the question.
To be honest with you, I think the broader public isn't really aware of how important a car seat is, because we find it alarming that when you get to a traffic light in traffic, that we still find parents having their children standing in cars unrestrained with either a car seat, or even adults. You know, you'll find that the parent is buckled up, but the child has free roam in the car, moving around, either lying on the backboard of the car or standing up between the 2 seats. And that is so dangerous, because if a driver should do an emergency stop, that child is not restrained. Parents are buckled in, yes, but then that child will travel right through the car, through the windscreen, and hit an object at the same speed that the car was driving. So that velocity will continue in that body, and that is where the injury happens. And that is why it's so important that we come out here and we ask that we understand that it's very unaffordable to buy a car seat. But there are places that do refurbished car seats, you know, and we are here today, and we'll chat about that later. But it's important that you buckle up. And we find it alarming because, I mean, like I said earlier, we find it on a daily basis that people are still allowing the children just to stand around in the car, you know. And maybe Zola can just chat about the ages. And
there's one thing before we get to the ages is that people don't understand that when you are in a car, any person, even if you are an adult, if you are not buckled up, you see a tin of baked beans, you are as loose as baked beans.
Sure.
The moment the crash happens, you're going to go all around in the vehicle, and you can find yourself out of the windscreen as well. So many times we encourage, because I remember there was an accident that happened at the Soloris Pass, I can't remember which year, where a child was found in between vehicles like this, and nobody knew whose child it was, because both vehicles had adults. and there were couples in both, wife and a husband, a wife and a husband. But now the child was not restrained, so the child went out of the windscreen and then created for the child to be in between, and we didn't know whose child it was. But everyone in the vehicle, as much as the crash happened, they were all restrained. And then there's also one thing that I would encourage people to do when you do have YouTube or Google, go to it and Google for the last kiss. It shows how you move around in a vehicle if you're not buckled up. In that vehicle, just to make an example, there are 5 occupants in the vehicle. 1 is not restrained. The 4 are restrained. And in a crash, the 1 person is hitting everybody in that vehicle. His head was going all around because he's the only one who's loose in the vehicle. So that is why it is important. Coming to the ages, every child from the age of 0 to 14 to 15 must be buckled up in a vehicle. We have in a restraint. There are different shapes and different sizes of car seat according to the ages. So if your child is 0 to 14, and they must not sit in front in a vehicle. Children must always sit at the back, restrained.
You were speaking in the ad break about limitations. Children have limitations when it comes to road safety. Speak to us a bit more about that.
There are limitations in terms of the size, because a child, the size of a child, the tallness of a child can be a limitation. Say, for instance, a child is walking and the child has to pass in between parked vehicles. You, the person who's driving the vehicle, will not be able to see the child who is in between the vehicles. So we're also encouraging, we've got programs that we do at schools. We do have schools. Road safety is part of the curriculum. It is taught at schools. We know for intermediate phase, it is taught between August and September. So we do make visits to schools. We have lectures with teachers. We train the trainer. We've got material that we give to schools as well. So if you know of a school that has never had road safety, please contact us. We will definitely go to that school. So we assist in road safety being implemented in class, because we know that people are not aware of these limitations of children. Children have got auditorial limitations. What you hear is not necessarily what the child can hear. You can hear if there is a vehicle speeding around, and you can tell from which direction it's coming from. But a child at the age of 4, 5, 6 is not able to differentiate or determine where that car is speeding from. So you can sit there and you can tell it's from the right, or it's at the back, or it's in front. That child doesn't know. And children are not aware that they are in a vulnerable situation. A child may be living in a main road, but the child doesn't know that by the mere fact that our house is allocated on a main road, it makes me as a child to be in danger. For them, it's exciting, it's nice, cars are moving around. When they hear a speeding vehicle, what do children do? I mean, I'm sure you've also done that. You get excited. You go like, yo, I want that car. Yeah, I want to go look and all that. So it is those kind of things that we're talking about. And also the peripheral vision of a child. Restricted. Yes. When I'm sitting here, I can see my colleague on the other side, but children don't have that. And due to that, parents don't understand that it is a limitation for a child. And also there is that fact of your child in the house being able to wash their socks, being able to clean, assist you to do. And what do you think? Wow, my child is clever. It doesn't mean that the child would know what to do when they get on the road.
Okay.
And even when it comes to children, they are very impulsive. So you'll find that children play on playgrounds, and that is where it comes in, where we now want to speak to the driver also a little bit in terms of the limitations of a child. A child is very impulsive. They'll be playing ball, kicking in the park, and when the ball goes out of the park, out of the play park, rolls into the road, the child's attention is on my game, on my ball, and they won't be looking out for cars. And therefore we're now asking, and that is where the Global Road Safety Week also comes in, where the United Nations is now advocating for a reduction in speed from 60 to 30 kilometers per hour in and around schools and residential areas. So we're just also urging the drivers, when they are around schools in residential areas, especially where children frequent often, please be on the lookout. Drive with anticipation
Yes.
that there will be a child or there will be a pedestrian in the area.
Oh, we can continue this conversation all day long because it's such an important one. To the both of you, thank you so much for joining us. And we were talking about car seats, and we're also running a very exciting competition in which you can win 1 of 5 car seats. Now, all you need to do is answer the following question. Tell us how old your child is and why you deserve a car seat. That is very important.
It is that easy, yeah. You can enter by answering the competition from our Facebook or Twitter pages, and you can also win this prize for you and your child. Now, the competition closes at midday tomorrow, which is going to be the 3rd of June. Remember, those T's and C's do apply and can be found on our website, expressoshow.com.